Larry, the Contractor guy, is back with us for another segment, and we are what we hated. It's been a while. It won't be as long between this and the next segment as it was between this one and the last, for some reasons. But sometimes you have to take a little time to reload. But there's some other interesting things that happened. I alluded to them, one of them, just in passing on the latest stuff and things. But I mean, and I'm gonna throw this on to him to explain what he thinks it is. But to me, some major things have happened in the last week or two. That's all I'm going to say. You've seen the emails that have gone between a bunch of us, so we all know where we're at. Did you find some of the global machinations a little bit interesting as of the last week or so?
Yeah, big time, especially on Monday, October 24th. The Vatican is calling for a new World Bank. I think they're kind of hinting that the IMF is not going far enough as far as world banking goes. Got an article by in the Trumpet.com by a guy named Ron Fraser, who's a Christian writer. He's pretty good. And he writes, November is a crucial month for the future of the world financial system. Following a critical meeting of EU heads this week to consider the future of the Eurozone, the sixth summit meeting of heads of government of the G20 nations, the world's richest economies, is due to take place in Cannes, France on November, or I think that's pronounced Cannes, on November 3rd and 4th. This summit is convening to discuss issues related to finance and the global economy at a time when the global financial system threatens to unravel. Realizing the vital nature of the matters the G20 will discuss, the Vatican is entering the ring with a call for a return to the old Holy Roman imperial approach to financial governance. The Vatican Information Service, the VIS, and I quote, this morning in the Holy See press office, a press conference was held to present a note from the Pontifical Council for Justice and Peace entitled, Toward Reforming the International Financial and Monetary Systems in the Context of a Global Public Authority.
And they're just the ones that do it.
Yeah.
What is
yeah.
What is
they
the
always have those high-sounding titles, too, man.
Oh, well, it's
I
always...
mean, you talk about some jive titles. Oh, they got them.
Just be happy it's not in Latin. But here's the other thing. What were the initials BIS?
Yeah, VIS.
Oh, VIS?
The Vatican Information Service.
Oh, because I'm thinking Bank of International Settlements, but maybe I'm just crazy.
Well, that's part of the story here, I guess.
It can't get any weirder. Yes, it will.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great bank if you're a Nazi. I mean, it did a lot for them.
We always got our deposits. And thank you.
Yeah. Think nobody cares, miss a couple of payments.
Come out here. No, it's... I mean, but, actually, where's Mel Brooks when you need him?
Yeah.
I mean, when you see this stuff going on, and it's dangerous, and you and I know it, but it's right out in front of your face, and how much of the population here and elsewhere are like, huh? What? Are you kidding me?
This is one of the key, most important planks in putting together a new world order, and that is a World Bank that is, overall in charge. And once that is in place, which it looks like it's going to be, since it now has the Vatican's backing, I mean, it's Katie bar the door because they're going to be able to do pretty much whatever they want.
Larry, isn't it true? I mean, with everybody in the patriot community, saying, well, they're going to come with foreign troops and all this. All right, settle down.
They don't need to.
No, they don't. What worse?
They already got you by the short hair, so to speak.
Yeah. But, I mean, hit somebody, the biggest gut punch you can give to anybody on any block, in any street, in any town in America, is to hit them financially, and, man, you got their attention.
Hit somebody in the pocketbook, and you got them.
That's it.
You got their attention. You're right.
It's like getting kicked in the chapanucas there, and you can't do anything, although you'd like to, and that's my point. Don't you understand what's happening now? There is a major move. Do we think that this whole global fiasco financially was a mistake? It was a oops on somebody's part? Are you kidding me? this thing's been orchestrated for how long? And then they
oh
turn
yeah,
around.
This is all planned.
Yeah.
It's all, it's all being stoked in the fires. They're pumping it up, and it's coming to fruition. I mean, I don't know how long it'll take, but it shouldn't be very long. And once you've got that papal authority behind it, that speaks volumes, to a lot of people in the world. You consider that 1 out of 6 people, roughly, 1 out of 6 people on this planet is, in one way or another, a member of the Roman Catholic Church, whether they go to, Mass every Sunday or not. That's pretty amazing. That's 16 some odd % of the population of the Earth, and that's a very powerful institution. As you were saying the other day, the Roman Catholic Church, I think it was Matt Lauer or somebody said Roman Catholic Church or the Vatican was the most powerful nation state on earth.
Yep,
and it is.
That's right.
And it is.
But you hear these things, and it dings on our ears.
Mm-hmm.
But if we didn't know what we did, I'd be walking by the TV set, I wouldn't even stop. That wouldn't mean a thing to me. Oh, and by the way, I just want to throw something in real quick.
Sure.
And we'll get back, but I just want to hold you at this moment because I didn't get a chance to say anything to her, and I didn't coax that on. And do you remember when one of the answers to Colvin from Judith Baker was about the Jesuits and Marxism?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, far out. Anyway, it's one of these things that if you're not paying attention, would not mean a thing. But when you understand what's going on, it's like, here we are again. Oh, and by the way, I just want to make one more shameless plug. Yeah, you have to put up with me.
It's your show. Like I always say, it's your show.
Yeah.
I just go along with it. I try to make some bad jokes, and occasionally. And just...
but I'm like a bad-smelling uncle that's a fun guy to be around. It's the opposite of the aunt that puts too much perfume on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, please, I'm suffocating. It's okay.
And don't get in the elevator with it.
Right, and then you go to the bathroom and wipe off the lipstick.
Woo,
oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
everybody had an aunt like that. Oh, God.
Several, in fact.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm thinking they really weren't my aunts. But anyway,
I
got
think they were
this
just
book.
old ladies that like young kids. I don't know.
Oh. Look,
humor, just humor. Bad humor, but it was humor.
They're Scandinavian women. They're repressed. And single.
Hey, I don't have a joke for that.
No, don't.
Whatever.
No, it's down spiraling as we speak. But who else could bring that out in you except moi?
Yeah.
All right, here's what I got. I had to get this book, The Invisible Committee, who's like lighting the way now for Occupy Wall Street. And you know the hot book that they wrote, The Coming Insurrection?
Yeah.
Well, I got it. And I'm going to read this thing because I'm telling you, I always love it when invisible and anonymous people write it because you know who I think wrote it.
Yeah.
The brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they wrote some very important documents, quote unquote documents in the history of the world. I can give you 2 of them that it looks like their handprints are all over.
Mein Kampf?
And that's the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, and also Mein Kampf.
And the Manifesto.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I had to laugh when Baker said that. Because, well, in the Jesuits and their Marxism, it's like beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I mean, there's a lot of people that are aware, of what they are and who they are.
But she had no idea where we were at. She just said that because that's what she knew or came to believe.
Well, I've seen her in. I've listened to her interviewed several times, and I've also seen a video that was done about her and her life with Lee Harvey Oswald. I don't even know whether to buy the story or not, like I was telling you earlier. But I'm not calling the woman a liar. I have no idea. But she's a very intelligent woman. In fact, she was a whiz kid. That's how she came to New Orleans. Was they brought her there as a 16-year-old or 18-year-old kid? I guess an 18-year-old kid, right out of high school, because she was won all these science fair, for a project on cancer and cancer research.
That's right. Yep.
And she was student of the year or something in the United States in science. And they brought her there to study at Tulane under the Alfred Ochsner group there. And, she's a very intelligent woman. There's no doubt about that. And she can, that's provable that she has that background.
And the situation might be that although she was cerebrally and IQ-wise way beyond when your chronological age
Yeah.
kind of like trails behind, and then you throw
Yeah,
into
emotional maturity just isn't there.
Yeah, I mean that's not fair anyway. I mean that's even like ball players who like try to get to the major leagues, whatever, like 17. Yeah, you're a good kid, but you're not outfitted for what's going to happen here.
Yeah,
that's only fair. It's with everyone. So
I would imagine that's a real culture shock when somebody that young gets to the major leagues. Just not knowing, especially kids from Hispanic countries,
or Austin.
Oh yeah, or Austin.
They don't even know. Are we in Texas? I'm not even sure. Jeez. Gosh. Hey, let me ask you something. Have you ever traveled across the state? Have you ever done like an El Paso to Texarkana thing?
Yeah, it's been many, many years.
Well, it probably took many, many years.
Yeah. A couple of, vacations I took with my parents, and I'm going to tell you what, there are certain areas of Texas that are miles and miles of miles and miles. There is nothing much there.
I know.
There's some really beautiful parts of the state, and there's some really ugly parts.
Yeah, there's two of them.
And I saw the ugly,
Two beautiful parts, and you and Benny don't live in them.
No, I live in one of the really nice parts of Texas, in central Texas, very pretty. Has some it's kind of a rugged beauty, but the hill country is very pretty. The Highland Lakes area and everything you'd probably be amazed at it.
Yeah, no, I was there. I was amazed. I got off the bus once and I went back on again. let me tell you real quick.
You are a Texan hater. I'm telling you.
No,
man.
I'm not. I've been there.
Do something about that.
Listen, Texas Lutheran wanted to give me a scholarship for football. Do you know where Texas Lutheran is?
Yeah.
Seguin?
Seguin.
Well, I said no just because, Texas to me at that time when I'm 17 in New Jersey is like, what.
Well, you're a nice Lutheran kid. They probably said, hey.
That's where it ended. That's where it ended.
Yeah.
Anyway, when I finally got to Seguin, I'm like, thank you, God, I didn't go to Texas Lutheran. Oh, man, that's a pluck and plum town. You pluck your head out the window, you plumb out of town.
Yeah, it's very small. I've been there. I used to date a girl whose folks moved to like a little area near Seguin, and she was really heavy into horses and, real
Don't explain
outdoors
that. Don't
kind
explain
of person.
that.
Yeah, it's a long story, but it was wonderful.
Okay.
It was a long time ago.
Yes. All right.
God, the adolescent humor tonight is just really going.
Well, what do you expect when you come here? Do you think things are going to change?
Oh, man. I hope.
No.
I hope people are going, what is wrong with those guys?
Oh, Billy Johnson and the rest of the guys are like, oh, he's doing it again. Hello, Bill. I love you. And Chris Arden, too. They're good guys, no doubt about it. But, all right, getting back to the whole deal about Judith and such, and closing that chapter, which is hard to close, but, Andy asked those questions that he did for certain reasons. I would have loved to have been able to have a shot at it with a couple of things, not necessarily to be at all argumentative. It's just that there's some things, but the one thing I'm glad I asked her about was this whole thing about who the heck was J.D. Tippett. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Mellon called him a gun runner in what was it?
He's another one of those people. That whole case, that whole group of people, or a large group of people around that case, there are certain elements that are just mysterious, and he's one of them.
Yep.
As well as Lee Harvey Oswald himself, and Jack Ruby too.
Oh,
I mean, it's hard to figure out what happened there, But you know that the official story is crap. You just don't know exactly what the real story is.
But
so many of them are dead. But Ruby lasted a lot longer than Tippett or Oswald, but he was murdered too, as far as I can tell.
Sure, he was. The thing I think about with all the ghouls that went down there that day, with Nixon in there and Hoover there and Bush there. It was like a damn football game in Rice Stadium.
Yeah.
They were there to watch the killing of the king, in Shelby Downard's terminology. And that's exactly what. It was a ritual rub. Probably the best that it was ever pulled off. And they were down there to check it all out. You know what I mean? What a bunch of ghouls, honest to God.
You say the killing of the king, I've seen that before, and I didn't know what the reference was there. And Liam said something in a email to me the other day, that the Druids had a ceremony, the killing of the king. Well, how appropriate for an Irish American, to have been involved, in the killing of the king ceremony. with the Druids and all.
If you want to go that far, I mean, if Downard is correct along with Michael Hoffman, it's kind of hard to say who wrote what in there. I think it's mostly Downard, but he was saying that the name Kennedy in Gaelic, and I should have mentioned that to Liam, means helmet head or wounded head.
Wow.
How much weirder does it get than that?
That's creepy.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I think, and this goes back to the occult murdering of Hiram Abiff, was it?
Yeah.
No. It was Osiris. Osiris was killed with a head wound.
Yeah.
And that's when his 14 parts was scattered. And his wife, mother, Isis, found 13, and we've been all through that kind of thing. But it was a head wound. Apparently, if you can do the perfect killing, it's a head wound. And, of course, Lincoln was a recipient of that, though Garfield and McKinley were not. I mean, in recent times. But Kennedy was.
Well, there's so many strange symbols involved in that killing. Well, it was right next to the Trinity River, so on and so forth.
That's right.
Somebody was telling me that where it took place in Dealey Plaza was close to the 33rd parallel,
Well, Dallas is a little bit near that. Yes, it was. Yes.
Just a bunch of things. I don't know if that really has significance or not, but
well,
there's some possibility of that.
Downard pulled out a lot of what he called toponymy.
Yeah.
Places and the names of them, the Three Sister Mountains. He did all that in the Killing of the King.
Have you read much of Downard? I tried to read some of his stuff, and I'll be honest with you, it was kind of fascinating, but it was almost like the ravings of a bull goose loony. I mean, I think the guy is brilliant, but he's really far out. I mean, some of that stuff I just couldn't read it. It was so strange, It's like a lunatic raving type thing.
Adam Golightly is going to chide me for continually.
Well, there's nothing against Adam. He's
a
great guy,
no.
But, it's just I don't understand Downard. But then again, I think he was hospitalized for mental illness. That doesn't necessarily mean he is or was, but he was hospitalized for that. It may just be that he's one of those people that is so intelligent and so out there that people mistook him for being insane. I don't know.
No, what I was going to say is Adam would be mad at me because I keep not remembering a group of people down here in Florida that got together that was involved with Downard and two other individuals, and this even has something to do with Kerouac. Mm-hmm. All right, and Adam has it down, and I have to keep being reminded. That's why I was saying, oh no, Adam would be upset with me because I never really keep it categorized. But there was a person that I spoke to. And I did this years ago with Beyond the Grassy Knoll with a Diane DeRoy, I think it was, who was a real historian. She's the one that told me, and I told Adam this, that she has tapes with, I think Downard was involved in this. Oh, man, and, well, she never got around to transposing him, and I kind of lost touch with her. But, the thing about Shelby Downard goes even deeper and deeper. I believe Adam had been in contact with a daughter. And I'll just say this. I don't know really what he had to win or lose about it. But I think he was probably more right or wrong. And yet a guy like Chris Knowles, who's a big occult dude with red ice and everything, just absolutely bristles at the fact that Downard knew anything. The fact that he's what he is and doesn't like Downard kind of tells me he's probably on the money. I'm sorry, I'm not, it's not a swipe. Well, it is a swipe.
Anything associated with red ice kind of gets icky for me. Those guys are wacko. There's just something weird about that.
What?
When you listen to the interviews, I haven't listened to them in a long time. But they have these people on that are just so weird occultists,
They're pagans. That's all you can say.
They kind of give me the creeps, Just even looking at that site gives me the creeps. It's very flashy and well done, but it's...
Oh, no, it's even gotten better in time gone by.
Weirdness incorporated, It's I don't know how to describe it.
Larry, when I got into that whole thing with them.
Yeah.
Because I stopped having Alan Watt on. Alan Watt's nice and all that other stuff, but, again, you're dealing with... All right, let's call it what it is. All right, he's a heathen. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
I like him. He's a gentleman, but at the end of the day, his life sucks, and then you die.
Yeah.
And then he was the bang on. It
doesn't give you a whole lot of alternative, does it?
No, but the thing was too, and I'm going to say this out
front.
No
holidays,
That's right. What is it? Yeah. What are you? Are you an alcoholic? No, I'm a drunk. What's the difference? I have to go to the meetings. This is as bad when I'm going to turn this into a Jeff Long interview. But I mean, there's a lot of people who have never heard this stuff, and we go into these things, and because we don't have a time limit and all that other stuff, I mean, we're not really bound by it. But I don't really think it's like wasteful talk because and I know, for as far back as you go with me, I go back further than that, and all kinds of weird stuff took place in this joint.
Yeah.
With the traveling feast that was known as.
Well, the thing that got me was you were telling a story about how the Red Ice guys try to bait you or somebody else into talking about
me,
you.
Yeah.
And it was like, man, what is this? You go out and try to create gossip so you can have something on somebody, and that's
okay. Look,
that's something I typically associate with passive aggressive. And gosh, I love females, but it's a female thing.
Well,
it really is. I mean, I watched it all the time I was growing up. My sister did it with her friends, and it was just create this gossip about us. Let's talk about so and so.
All right.
And they would do this thing, man. It's passive aggressive.
Let me address this. The problem was I had Alan on, and Alan used to bang on Alex Jones.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. And then he went over to what? GCN or RBN, and they became fast friends.
Oh, yeah. Money does that. Now,
to me, that was a breach, okay, on Alan's character. But that's his choice. My point was, if you, like Chapman, if you're going to do that, then, it's time.
Yeah.
However, I will say this.
Wasn't Chapman the one that sat around talking about how Jones was a drunk and all that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ran him up and down, one side or the other, off mic. And now, when everybody dumped him because they realized he was a scoundrel, who else would take him except GCN?
Yeah.
And there he goes. Oh no, this is. I mean, I have no problem with that. And anybody wants to call me a liar, come out and let's do it, man. Because I'm telling you, I know what I heard. I didn't run the tape at that time, but I know what I heard. Anyway, however, with Alan, I will say this: whenever we did anything, I had no complaints whatsoever. He was up front, good guy. That's the way it goes. I actually saw.
I heard him try to bait him in, saying something about your Christianity.
No, somebody tried to bait him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Somebody tried to bait him.
And he was cool.
And they were asking about that, and he said, well, as far as I know, he is a Christian. He was talking about yourself. And they also said something, they were trying to talk about you being in the FBI, and it's like, I don't know how many times you've gotten on the show and said, I was in the FBI for a year. I was in a clerical job. I didn't like the FBI, and I got out,
That's it.
It was like a mutual decision.
Oh, no. What happened was they said to me, this is great cover. Go out and be an idiot for the rest of your life, which I was. And nobody will suspect it.
And we'll send guys your way.
I just want to know where they sent the checks. Yeah,
I mean, come on, man. I mean, that is so cheesy. I mean,
I know, but look,
I mean, it's not like you didn't reveal it like 100 times. I mean, you're always, telling stories about it, and I thought, well, everybody who listens to the show knows that he was in the FBI. So what?
Yeah, right. But I will say this about Watt, and that was he handled that also very fairly. And the guy that was trying, and I think I know who that jerk is, but he handled it. And I addressed that, if you remember, back in the Beyond the Grassy Knolls days. I'm saying, listen, Red Ice is shit. But what they try to get out of Alan or whoever called in and all that other stuff was he comported himself well. For that, I have no complaints. That he's on GCN, it's a disappointment, but I've gotten over it. Now, Red Ice thought there was a falling out between Alan and I and me, and there was none. But Red Ice loves Tessarian. Watt hates Tessarian, says he's plagiarized him and stole stuff. So they looked at this as an opportunity to bang Alan Watt. My problem was I had Red Ice on, and they promised to have me on like 6 months before. And then all of a sudden they got real cozy and go, you can come on if you like, and you can talk about Alan, but you don't have to. And I just ripped them one upside and the other. I'm like, look, man, you would never have me on.
Man, it's just somebody trying to create gossip,
But they got,
create an enmity for their own. It's like, let's you and him fight, But the kind of guy that would stand around and try to get two guys to fight so they can watch, That's all that is. And those are the kind of guys that, should get punched first,
No, but they are bogus. In other words, what I said to them was, You were going to have me on in return as a compliment for me having you on.
Yeah.
And we went 6 to 8 months or whatever, and it didn't happen. And the only reason you talked to me was because you thought I could give you something. And I mean, I went after them. They wrote back an email. Well, you don't understand. I'm like, don't tell me what I don't understand. You guys are bullshit. Excuse me. That's the way it goes. All right. Now take your badasses. I'm ashamed that they're Scandinavians.
Yeah.
And
yeah, me too.
I'd like to see them go. I'd like to see them go against the Collins brothers in a Texas steel cage death match.
Well, I think that it should be a hockey match. kind of going with that Scandinavian thing.
You give them credit for even know how to skate. You stop. All right, now back to the whatever the
yeah, we were talking about what the Vatican had said, and I'll read you part of the Vatican statement. The VIS says, the Pontifical Council for Justice and Peace, drawing from the social magisterium of recent pontiffs, particularly John the 23rd and Benedict the 16th, proposes that, quote, globalization be regulated by a global public authority. Bishop Toso explained. The Council also suggests the reform of current international institutions. They must, and I quote again, they must be super parties at the service of the universal good, capable of offering effective guidance and at the same time of allowing each country to express and pursue its common good. According to the principle of subsidiarity and in the context of a global common good, only in this way will international institutions manage to favor effective monetary and financial systems. And he goes on to say, I'm talking about Ron Fraser says, it takes little imagination for an open mind to read into those statements Vatican machinations leading toward a Vatican revival as the ethical arbiter of an old institution given to the primacy of politics, claiming responsibility for the common good. A literal resurrection of the old Holy Roman imperial system that once dominated the world for 1,000 years. The drive to resurrect that old system has been a consistent theme in the magisterium of Rome. From Pope Leo XIII's encyclical Rerum Novarum, issued in 1891 during the sixth resurrection of the Holy Roman Empire, to Pope Benedict's Caritas in Verite, issued in 2009, the year that the Lisbon Treaty, EU Constitution, the governing instrument of the 27 European Union, which is the seventh and final resurrection of the Holy Empire, was signed. And he also goes on to quote the famous passage in Revelation 13, 16 through 17, that it causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And I think that's pretty much summing it up, that this is where we're headed. The beast system is on the way, and the symbol in the Bible is of a woman who rides the beast, and that is the Romanist Church. And I think that's coming into view much more clearly in recent days, in recent years, I should say.
Well, again, we who understand what we understand are made fun of, and again, I mean, I'll definitely separate this from the whole Roman Catholic thing. My problem is with the Vatican nation state and its questionable facade of, well, certainly of religiosity, because that's easy. I mean, things are religious and not spiritual, but their spirituality is somewhat questionable, and what they've been doing for millennia. And then in around, 1820s or so, back at the Treaty of Verona, when the Jesuits took possession of the Vatican, which knew it couldn't last without them, and now we have a whole different thing going on. And it's like, I don't know why people have I I understand, yes, I do understand why they have a problem with it. I did. But if you're willing to take a look, as I did when I first heard from Phelps, and Phelps is not the only carrier of this message. He's just somebody that's more recently vociferous about this. And honestly, if you think about it, or if you're aware of this, he was on Jeff Rent's. I heard him. I had him on. Nobody else would have him on. And I didn't have him on until I had read where he cited some of his work. I got those books, and I'm like, oh, we got a problem here.
the whole thing with Phelps is, I came in very late. It was after you kind of phased out having interviews with him, but I read and heard some of his interviews with yourself and other people, and I thought this guy is brilliant at first, and then after a while, he started really going over the top with some really strange stuff. Some of it was like the old Southern Baptist rhetoric, and I come from that background and that tradition. My father was, and my grandfather was a minister in the Missionary Baptist Church, and my father, had attended that church, and he taught me quite a bit about it. And I know the history of the Southern Baptist Church is that during the Civil War, that they broke away. There was, the Baptists in the North supported the abolition of slavery, and the Baptists in the South said, well, slavery is okay. It's the Bible sanctions it, etc. And I'm sorry, but I cannot, under any circumstances, buy into that theory, and I don't believe that's biblical, and I don't believe that that's the way God wants us to treat our fellow man. I think Abraham Lincoln made a statement once that really was apropos. He said, slavery could not be a good institution because no man desires it for himself.
Of course.
And there you go. I mean, it's just, pure, simple logic. I mean, it's exploitation of man by his fellow man. And this was just something that was a sin. I mean, it was a terrific mistake, and it caused a great deal of harm. And of course, I don't believe anybody in Southern Baptist Church would want to support that viewpoint anymore. But I read some of that stuff and or heard some of that stuff that he said. He said some strange stuff on a show that Gordon had. Gordon was interviewing him, and the guy is brilliant. I mean, he can just snap, out of his memory. He can just start spouting all this stuff, and I've checked up on some of the things that he said, and he was absolutely correct. I mean, he's well read. He's quite a historian, and he paints the scenario very, very clearly. And I buy into a lot of things he believes, but he went over the edge somewhere. I don't know what happened, but
let me say this. I've been in contact with him after about 3 or 4 years of nothing at all.
Yeah.
And it's light, and we go back and forth. But he knows where I'm coming from, and I'm not comfortable with him, and I don't mean to be. I lost respect for him because he took up with Greg Zemansky, who was an absolute, profligate. And I'm like, we went back and forth about this, and he was like, yeah, I know, and I lost respect for him. But what happened also was that somebody injected him with money. And the reason I say this is because, look, let's face it, whether it be Jones, who went through this whole thing too, or some other folks, like Red Ice, in fact, and also with Phelps, his site was static. It was like it was worse than mine, if you can imagine that. Yeah. And what happened was, all of a sudden, that thing just perked up like a 3-ring circus, and then he got his daily hour show on one of these other Patriot idiot networks, and it's like, don't think that was not a coincidence. That money was injected into that, and he has to play to it. And that's when he started with this bit about separation, a separate state for whites, and all this other stuff. And so, he took the cheese too.
Yeah, I mean, somewhere along the line, I'll be honest with you, he took what was essentially a Christian message and wove it into something that is like the type of thing that the far right has been doing. I'm not saying he's gone as far as some of these, I don't know what you'd call it, Aryan Nation type churches, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure.
He hasn't taken it that far, but he's an apologist for
a lot of their activities and beliefs. Yeah,
and he's an apologist for racism.
Yeah.
And that's not Christian. And there's something wrong with his. I'm sorry, but I mean, I don't generally try to judge other people's relationship with God, but there's something there about his walk with God that isn't right. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
it just can't be, because you can't have that kind of attitude toward your fellow man. You can't see slavery and racism as being okay. You just can't. and be a Christian. You can't do it.
Well, you saw the debate I had with the people from Columbia Christian, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you see this sophistry with things like, well, this is mentioned. I mean, that was Eric's thing. Well, slavery is mentioned in the Bible. Yeah, it doesn't make it good.
No.
Sodomy and buggery and all this other incest is all mentioned in the Bible.
Right.
It doesn't
Murder's in the Bible, too.
Yeah, they're not endorsing it, though. So it's easy to say that. No, what I think happened was that, hey, when the cheese is presented, you do it or you don't do it. And he went for it. And he's changed his message. Now, I'll tell you what.
He's gone way to the far right is what I'm trying to say, Biff.
Yeah.
I don't think... I know he was anti-Nazi, and I know he was, anti-fascism, at least in the early stages. I'm not saying he's a fascist now, but he's become an apologist for certain ideas that they endorse. And I think the same thing happened with Alex Jones.
Absolutely.
Alex Jones went from being more or less a middle-of-the-road conservative libertarian type. I wouldn't call Alex leftist or liberal, even way back. But I saw him early on. But basically, he was just anti-New World Order. This is wrong, that's wrong. But then all of a sudden, it's this, hey, we're going to push the New World Order back, and we're, get a gun, and everybody, we'll show them. And now it's kind of an agent provocateur thing. And all of a sudden, pumping up Ron Paul and, all this, something ain't right there. And I think he's there to sidetrack people, and I think it's agent provocateur stuff. And I'm not saying everything Alex Jones says is wrong. There's some good stuff on his site. I don't go there anymore, but I used to.
No, I understand. You have to have that,
he has people on there that are really interesting. Another guy that he's real interesting and a very erudite, but there is a right-wing agenda somewhere hidden, is Webster Tarpley.
Oh, geez.
I mean, he was in with the Larouchians, and the Larouchians,
he never left, bro. He never
are
left.
masked. They're crypto-fascist.
Yeah. No, he never left, and it's still there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And of course, Tarpley is one of the biggies on Alex Jones has him on all the time and praises him as the guru, and it's all just wonderful.
Just loving each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean these guys, they're you're cute, whatever.
Can't you feel
you think like I do?
Love,
So you're
yes.
smart.
Hallelujah. Say amen. Yes. Give me a break. But I mean, it's a clown circus, man. I mean,
yes, it is.
Oh, well,
it is, and it's the sad part is that there are so many people that will be attracted to that crap that won't listen to anybody who's trying to tell them.
But you know what? Honestly, yeah, and I still bang on them and stuff, and I still bang on the patriot idiots, hoping they can understand. But the point, what it comes down to is this: it's that if it does come down to this. The majority is never right, and I'm sorry, but most of the patriot idiots are. And
that's why democracy, true democracy, or pure democracy, would never work.
No, well, if it does work, it's only a bunch of simps following somebody anyway. I mean,
exactly.
It's. I mean, I can understand. Look, you and I understand this, and the Christians understand this, and it's not an exclusive thing. I'm not trying to do a nose up thing, but look. You guys take a look at civilization. I did my my Western history and all this other stuff. You know what it is? It's just one experiment that's failed after another. We call them civilizations, but they ended for a reason. Why? Because it cannot continue. Yeah. There is nothing of the flesh that can continue in this manner. And I'm sorry, you can yell all you want. Just show me something. And why did that die out? Well, why did it die out? If it was perfect, it should have carried on. It got corrupted. Just call it what it is. Mm-hmm. And we're at a point now, Larry, and I'm sorry to say, but I mean, when people are like, well, then, no, I'm sorry. Well, then, I don't know. Spiritually, there's another whole thing going there. If you want to survive in this world that's to come, you're either going to have to hide out or belly up, one or the other. I'm sorry. That's the way it's going to be. And most of you will just go ahead and throw yourself at the feet of the state because that's all you're going to know. And I can understand it. Makes sense if you don't know the Lord. And I'm not going to, beat the Bible on this one. But isn't that what it comes down to?
The thing is sad to me, and I understand why they're doing it, but I see so many people who think they can push back tyranny, they can push back the New World Order, global fascism, the encroachment of the state, corporatism, and they believe they can push it back. I see intelligent people saying, well, with the internet now, and people are better informed about politics and economics, and we can fight this. We can put this down. We can make. I don't think so. I really don't think so. When the most wealthy and powerful people in the world are pushing this, it's awful hard to beat big money. I mean, it's almost impossible to beat big money unless you have spiritual forces on your side. And they think that through the power of communications, and I think a lot of them were encouraged by this crap, the Arab Spring, which is nothing more than a staged, orchestrated event, which is going to bring on, Arab fascism over there, and already has.
Well, let's talk about that. And the reason I bring this up is it any coincidence that the Arab Spring sprang and ran through Saharan Africa and the Middle East? Now, there's an aside here, but I'll leave that secondarily. The thing is, okay, fine. Now, we think that was all and you remember all the reports here in the Western media. Oh, this is so great. They're going to be just like, blah, blah. And you and I and others were saying, yeah, try that over here, get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
All right. So here we go. Now the Arab Spring has sprung, and it's so great, and Muammar is dead, and life is going to be good. And now we have the same situation here in the United States. And one of my points is that, okay, look, Occupy Wall Street, how did that happen? When did it happen? Is that grassroots? No, it's not. The Tea Party, was that grassroots? No, it's not. But my point also was, with Jones and his damn money bomb, where's that money going to, Alex? Because honestly, if you could get that kind of money up, why can't the patriot idiots form the same kind of vanguard that Occupy Wall Street did? How come? And that the Tea Party did. How come the patriot idiots are still sitting there listening to stuff while you're running your mouth about a money bomb? You see my point?
Yeah.
It's like if you guys are really together, and look at these cats, man. They did it seemingly in 2 months.
Well, the thing that gets me about this whole Occupy Wall Street thing is they have no demands. Have you noticed that? There's no core of demands. How can you form a political movement that will do anything positive when all you're doing is going, hooray for our side, boy, Wall Street sucks. They're greedy,
Look,
I mean,
right.
Who gives a?
I know.
I could say that and do, but it's not going to change anything.
But that's what we were talking about with Andy Sr., because he's looking at a grassroots movement up in Utica, and I really do believe it is such. But, I mean, it'll just have so much steam because the eyes of the world and the cameras of the media, even in the contiguous 48 states, they're not on Utica. Utica's not sexy. We don't care about Utica. But you look at what's happening in New York and such, and of course there's been trouble out in Oakland. But when you talk to people, it's like, and the point is, look, you can overthrow something, but what do you got to take place?
I mean, they have no core of demands. I'll give you one that might work. Would do some good. Is put a sales tax on transactions made on Wall Street. Won't happen. Never going to happen. But if you did that, you could have some tax money that would help to rebuild the infrastructure of this country, put people back to work. But they don't do any. They don't talk about anything like that. It's some clown running around with a sign.
It's Wall Street is greed.
I mean,
right.
Who is stupid enough not to understand that Wall Street's all about greed? That's what it is.
I wonder how many of these guys are slipping the resumes underneath the doors. No, that's fair. That's not fair. No, but I mean, it's all sloganism, and I understand it. And I'll tell you something else. With the dude Joe Connolly that does the Wall Street Report on WCBS 880 AM out of New York, I have to say I think he's more realistic. But he said something a long time ago, and I mentioned this several times, I guess ad nauseum. But the thing is, I cannot ever return to what he said. But it was to the effect that you can spank Wall Street. You can lay penalties on them. They'll just turn around some derivative package and make you pay for it.
Yeah.
My point is they cannot be harnessed. And Watch what happens.
And they run this country.
Of
they
course
run.
They do.
They put people in office. The president and the Congress are in their back pockets. Corporate, especially financial corporations, run this country. I mean, and if people can't get it through their heads, you live in a corporate state. You live in a style of fascist state, and you have for an awful long time. You know, really probably since the 1930s, and maybe even before that. Really, I mean, it's always been corporations running this country.
You know, I did the Bazelon series. The guy who wrote whose 3 articles I've read on the air.
Yeah, I hadn't had a chance to listen to that yet. I saw it.
Mackerel. But the thing is, he nails it. He nails it in 1962, although he never gauged just how ruthless and how gone the government was.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not unusual. Anthony C. Sutton, whom I think we all revere very well, and for good reasons, did the same thing. I mean, when he wrote The War on Gold, he was like, well, this should end in a depression. And he's right, but it didn't happen. And I'm just saying to myself, no, Sutton wasn't wrong. Bazelon wasn't wrong, but they never gauged the complete and utter corruption of the whole system. And so here's what I'm going to say also to folks. Barry was out there yakking about giving people who are underwater in their mortgage some help. No problem with that whatsoever. Fine, okay. But here's the point. The banks don't have to abide by it. So he can push this thing through, whatever that means, and the banks will tell him, jam it up your butt. And I just want to see what happens now, because while everybody's still going crazy about Republicans and Democrats, and I actually got an email from Harry today, and I'm saying, look, man, we all voted for like 40 years, and we all saw what our lives turned into. Doesn't anybody ever want to step back and say, you know what, something's really wrong with this whole thing, and realize that the people you're voting for don't run the country? Hello?
No, they're just told what to do by those who do run the country. And it's like all you have to do is have your little meat puppets up there having a little WWF, smackdown. I'm a Democrat, you're bad, you're a Republican. I'm a Republican, you're bad,
That's all they know.
It's this silly crap that, and people go and vote for these people based upon the personalities and their looks and Sarah Palin comes out and winks at them and shakes it around a little bit for them, and oh my gosh, she's the most wonderful, and the woman is basically nothing more than a bimbo, and it's like, my God, you really think that person is going to be able to make political decisions, at a high level? You think somebody doesn't pull her strings? I mean, come on.
Of course.
I mean, it's like, how dumb are you? I mean, I remember when I was a lot younger, before I caught on to what was really going on, I was, liberal college guy. I came, out of a very conservative, background, but, I wanted, hey, man, I thought, people got enough education, and, we could change the world, and, bring people up and make a better country and yada, 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 and after a while I began to realize, hey, the liberals and the Democrats are just as screwed up and corrupt as the Republicans are, There's no difference. I mean, they spout a difference, but in the long run, it's just, a slightly different angle on the same thing. It's the corporations, A, B, and C, run the Democrats, and corporations D, E, and F run the Republicans. What's the big deal? In the long run, they're both run by corporations. I mean, it's fascism essentially. It's just this is America. We can vote. We don't have a dictator. We can vote for whoever we want in office. Yeah, and he doesn't care what you think.
Well, if we can, to talk about, as I did in that Stuff and Things, without trying to beat it to death, I mean, when you look at what's written there, you can't help but want to agree with it. Mm-hmm. But you got to realize, what these things really mean. I mean, look, Yeah, I understand that like 1% makes so much stuff, so much more money. My point is this: look, let them have whatever they want. But my point is, just leave the jobs here. Let people work. They really don't care what you're killing, as long as they're working and doing all right. But when you send jobs abroad, when you strangle people who are there with you, then there's a problem. I don't care, you know.
I think the ultimate. I really, you know, I say fascism, I say corporatism, and those are legitimate to an extent. But really, what's coming upon us is something even worse, which it's feudalism. The whole world is going to be reduced to a gigantic feudal state.
But you see,
with the priesthood and the oligarchs at the top and everybody else on the bottom. And by the priesthood, I mean the Roman Catholic Church and the Vatican. And the oligarchy is, it's pretty obvious we're just talking about the corporate state. And what's happening is that the American working man, the American working person, is being dragged down to the level of people in the third world. I mean, you cannot compete. There's just no way that an American can compete with people in countries where they make 50 to 75 cents an hour, you know, on working in a factory. Just not going to happen. You can't eat on that. You know, you definitely couldn't feed a family.
However, what's going to happen now, and this is what I'm saying, that's couched in this bit about equality, is equality means equal. And, you know, we talked about it before, but the point is, you know, being treated equal as dogs is equal.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make you like it.
A meal fit for a king.
Here, king. There you go. The old, yeah, you got
I set you up, didn't I?
Henny Younger, yeah. All right. Here, king. Here, king. But, I mean, when you look at this stuff, it all sounds so great.
Yeah.
And how would you expect anybody to not go along with this who isn't, I don't know, what are you going to say? I mean, it's not a question of intellectual, you know, integrity because we don't have it. But it's a question of, like, just being aware of what has taken place before and what these characters have said, if not the ones that are in power right now, but the ones before them, whether it goes back to, you know, H.G. Wells or any of these elites who just have no, what we just say, they cannot stomach the hoi polloi, which is basically everybody else like you and me.
Well, you know, one thing I began to get a whiff of what was happening back in the early 90s. I won't go into details, but I used to be a member of the Machinists Union. I was a steward in the place that I was working. And there was a big protest, you know, went on downtown here in Austin where the AFL-CIO headquarters were. And it was all about protesting against NAFTA and how that was going to, you know, suck American jobs down, you know, below the border, and, you know, it was really going to screw things up, and it did. But, you know, I'm thinking, yeah, that's great. You know, we're protesting against it. And at the same time, these people, you know, the unions were all going to go vote Democrat. Well, who was really pushing for NAFTA? Well, obviously Republicans were, but not only that, our friend Slick Willie. Slick Willie thought that was a great idea to have NAFTA. That was really going to help us all out. Well, then you began to realize, hey, man, the Democrats are globalist just like the Republicans. There's no difference. You know, and we're getting to the point where no matter what anybody wants to do, you know, trying to go through a legitimate political process, you know, nominating candidates for a particular party and trying to, you know, get your viewpoint heard, it doesn't matter because those people are going to do what their masters tell them to do, and there's nowhere to go. There's no third party, and even when they do try to have a third party, they crush that out pretty quickly because they want you to have, you know, what you believe is a choice, an illusion of choice.
Larry, I'll tell you what, when I listen to business reports and all that, and they talk about competing in the global market.
Right.
It's gotten to a point now where I've like kind of laughed to myself saying, you folks out there, you know, you all 20, 30-somethings, when they tell you you're going to compete in a global market, you're going to compete in a global market, which means your ass is up against the wall with somebody else who's going to work in Bangkok or, you know, whatever, or, you know, in India.
Singapore.
I mean, and not to make fun of anyone else, but the thing is, you're going to compete in a global market. In other words, you're all going to run for the same damn crumb that falls off the table. And that's how you're going to be treated.
Yeah, I hear stories from people I work with, and you know, a lot of times I communicate with people overseas, and their working conditions are pretty awful. They really are, and the amount of money they make is very sad. I mean, but to them, it's a step up. You know, I mean, these are people who can't even. I mean, the idea of owning an automobile, you know, that's like a dream. You know, that's a fantasy world. You know, that's like a big whoopee-doo. You know, they have to use public transportation. You know, they usually live in very small dwellings. You know, often multifamily dwellings. They make a lot of them make anywhere from 50 to 75 cents an hour, and these are not stupid people or bad people. You know,
they're
but they
people,
live.
Yeah.
It's feudalism. They live in a country where there's a very tiny upper class and a huge lower class of people who just basically have to do what they're told. You know, step out of line and a man comes to take you away. And that's what's, you know, evolving here. A lot of Americans just don't get it. The America that we knew, leave it to Beaverland, is gone.
Yep.
You know, people in our age group, you know, we're really lucky, guys like us. In one sense, we're old codgers, but we did get to live in a great America compared to what it is now, you know, and we didn't know how good it was.
No, and of course there were always losers in this society too, which you didn't see. So, but I mean, we understand that also. The thing was, yes, I agree with you. I always worked, everything was okay. You know, now things have gotten very strange, and of course for you and I and others, or even older, it's like you're at a point now where you're not going to be able to go ahead and, you know, like work crazy to make up for what you might have lost wherever you had your investments. It's a strange time for the very young and the very old. Those who are in the working class, you know, have a chance to rebound or whatever. But none of us, I mean, well, let's face it. Some of us understand what's going on. But, I mean, even for the really decent people, they have no idea what's going to be shoved down their throats. They have none whatsoever.
Well, one thing that cracks me up when I hear the extreme right, when they talk about the NWO, and I remember this, I'm trying to think, the guy used to have the show where it started off with the concentration camp, the dogs barking and all that. Bill
Cooper.
Bill Cooper, yeah. Now, Bill Cooper had some good ideas, and he said some good things, but he was always going on, I'm on a socialism world, so it's not going to be socialism, dude. It's going to be feudalism. You know, they're not going to be looking after the interest of the people so that everybody has.
No.
You know, it's not going to be socialism, man. That's the last thing they want. What they really want is to drive you, you know, down into dire poverty where you live in a hovel and you're lucky if you've got enough, you know, a sack of gruel, you know, that you can eat.
I know.
You know,
but
that's what they want, man.
But
that's where we're going. And, you know, sooner or later it's going to get like that. Hopefully it won't be for long. And I hope, you know, that you know, I'm able to survive somehow. But, my God, I mean, they're going to put us into – we're going to live like people live in India. We're going to live like people live in certain other countries in Asia and in the slums of South America. You know, we're going to experience that. You know, and people already are. They're like in the 30s when people were broke and out of work and and were homeless. You know, they had these makeshift little shacks and things that people would gather together. They called them Hoovervilles. Well, now we have Obamavilles. You know, and I mean, I'm not necessarily blaming Obama. He's just another puppet. He's a jackass, but he's just another one of a long line of jackass presidents. You know.
I will say this, and remember, I mean, we've talked about this in deference to Cooper and yourself and myself.
Yeah.
Take all the terminology, but what it comes down to is this: totalitarianism.
Yeah.
Corporate fascism. Yes, that was the road that got us there. If you want to call it communism, after the fact, you're going to pretty much live like that. Whatever the titles may be, they are definitely not very people-friendly.
Yeah, like we've said before, it doesn't matter what the label is when you barely have enough to eat.
Yes.
You know, you got you're living in a shack, a little hovel, and you barely got enough to eat, and you're worried that maybe some night the cops are going to come by and take you away. You know,
I want to read
that's the way you live.
I want to read a little passage from this Reuters story, and then we'll get back because I want to. I mean, and also Charles Wilcox chimed in on this with the role of Germany, and and that's really
we'll talk about that.
Yeah, that's kind of like what you do. I mean,
yeah.
But there's one statement.
It's kind of nice to get away from it a little bit,
Oh no, yeah, but because because Gordon always asks me, he's going, well, what does Larry think about this? Well, so anyway, here we're going to go. But the one passage I wanted to read from the Reuters article because it sounded so good, of course, and this is from whatever directive the Vatican unleashed. It said in reference to this directive. Meaning it called for the establishment of a, quote, supranational, although I don't think I was wrong the first time, a supranational, I don't want to say that, a supranational authority, end of quote.
What Mr. Vyzygoth is trying to say is
that, a supranational authority. Well,
there you go.
Have you ever heard me? I mean, how pathetic it was when do you remember when I couldn't pronounce Yemen? Yemen? I had a problem with Yemen.
You had a problem with Qatar, too, but I do, too.
I like Qatar. Don't tell me.
Yeah. It sounds like some kind of, like, cough syrup or something,
It sounds like a fastball. A cutter. I can teach you how to throw that.
Yeah,
anyway,
sliders, cutters, whatever.
A supranational authority with worldwide scope and, quote, universal jurisdiction to guide economic policies and decisions. Such an authority should start with the United Nations, what a surprise, as its reference point, but later become independent, and be endowed with the power to see to it that developed countries were not allowed to wield, quote, excessive power over the weaker countries. That all sounds great, but you know what's all in that? It's just
a global central bank which controls everything.
Yep.
That's what it's all about.
Yep.
They've been working toward it for a while. Now they needed, recently they're getting the heavyweights together to endorse it, and there's no heavier weight on earth than the Roman Church. I mean, when those guys say something, it's important, and they have an awful lot of adherents, people that believe that that they're doing the right thing for the people, and again, it's the sheeple thing, and it is.
And we'll go into it now, but I want to go into how this affects what might be coming, and that's not what, but will be coming, and that's the new holy or unholy Roman Empire.
Right.
But
exactly.
With Gaddafi going down, that's the last of the boys, if you will.
Yeah.
And I'm really surprised because, in a way, I didn't think Saddam would get whacked. And I'm not, I don't know. I guess he's gone. All right, fine. And they had the same scenario where they pulled, at first they said they found Gaddafi in a hole. I'm like, oh, would that be the same hole that they found Saddam in? You remember that?
Yeah.
It's like, give me a break. But then, all of a sudden you see the guy bleeding from everything and they're kicking the crap out of him. Like, well, I guess this is real. And then you wonder why they were giving up, because weren't they playing ball? Well, maybe they weren't. I don't know. What I do find also interesting is that with all the wise guys left, you have whoever's sitting over there in North Korea, who nobody cares about, still popping off. And then you have Chavez and you have Castro, but of course they're RC Latinos and nobody touches them. And I know that sounds kind of like jaded.
Lately, I'm
what
less
the hell was
inclined
that?
Lately, I'm less inclined to believe that Chavez is all that bad a guy. I don't think he's any kind of a hero or anything. Don't get me wrong, but I think he is. He kind of enjoys trying to go his own way and do what's best for Venezuela. And of course, what's good for Venezuela is good for Chavez. But one thing he did do is he defied the IMF. Argentina a few years ago was in tremendous straits as far they owed something like $12 billion to the IMF, and the IMF was jacking with the country, going in and making all these different experiments with the social system and financial system there, and had gotten Argentina in a much worse shape than it had been before it got the loan from the IMF. So what they did to get the IMF off their case was that they borrowed money from Chavez and Venezuela, because Chavez and Venezuela, of course, with the oil money, they have a very large surplus of money, and that helped out Argentina. I saw a documentary I would recommend. I don't remember the title of it, but it's on. If you have Showtime, it's a Showtime documentary. It's done by Oliver Stone, and it's kind of about Chavez, but it's more about all the different countries and the different leaders in South America, and how so many of the leaders down there are trying to fight against what I would call the New World Order and the IMF, And it was very interesting how the guy in Argentina was saying, yeah, Chavez helped us out, man. We were in very bad shape there. And the IMF was, basically taking over our country, and we wanted to get rid of them. And that was the only way we could do it, was to get a loan from him. He said we're able to pay it back to him.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But I still think that he is allowed to do that.
Yeah.
And because it is a Vatican favored country,
could be,
because it's Latino / RC, just like Castro. I mean, if this country was going to go ahead and smack somebody who's a problem, wouldn't the axis of evil start with Cuba? And somehow that never happened.
I've always wondered about that. Never made any sense at all.
But
I saw a thing that said that Castro had been raised in a Jesuit school, that he had been influenced by the Jesuits, and that his whole life had been spent in a Jesuit education. I'm not necessarily saying they're to blame there, but apparently there's some connection.
Well, I am. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
How many popes, how many papal visits have gone to Cuba, and how many have gone to the United States? Come on. It's a communist country and they're atheists. You think? No, sorry. Castro and Chavez get special treatment, perhaps until a certain time, or maybe not.
Well, I may have missed something, but every time I've ever seen where communism took over in a nation, organized religion was a target by the Communist Party and the apparatus of the state. Persecution. I know that in particular in the Soviet Union when they first took over, they persecuted the old Orthodox Church terribly. They confiscated all their property. They killed and imprisoned a lot of the priests, and they've done that in other countries too. But have you ever heard about anything going on in Cuba like that? I don't think that took place.
No.
They may have curtailed the activities of the church somewhat, but I don't remember there was like a wholesale slaughter of the priest or anything like that.
No, and that brings us also to something I wanted to ask Baker about.
Yeah.
And that would be, and I tell you what, if we can get the I-Man back on, one of his very provocative comments was off mic when we were getting ready to do something, and I said, what is the deal with the Bay of Pigs? And he stopped me and went, I go, was that a CIA thing and a CIA sabotage thing? And he goes, and we couldn't get into it.
Well, that's what L. Fletcher Prouty said it was. He said that the CIA sabotaged that intentionally.
Yeah, they set it up and they sabotaged it.
Yeah, that's what he says. And he had a lot of dealings with the CIA at that time.
Yeah.
He was the liaison officer for the Air Force with the CIA. And he said that whole, he was also another one who said that whole air support thing was a crock,
Well,
that was a phony explanation for what happened.
And that's what I think we talked about this.
Yeah.
The Invisible Government is a book online. I saw it in hard copy. It really exists. I read it. And if you go to the chapter, which you can read online, just go to Invisible Government, book online, and you'll get to it. It's on a Latino site, in fact, but it's in English. Yeah. And you'll read about the supposed reason why the Bay of Pigs failed, which every military guy will tell you it is impossible.
Yeah.
The whole bit about, we were in different time zones. Hello, that's why you use Zulu or Grand Meridian, so that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And that was what was given to the authors as the reason, and they went, that's a little improbable, and they said so, and they wrote it, and the point is no. And
it's just like, 9/11, the fires were so hot that they started to melt the steel girders, and then you had a pancake effect, and that's why the towers came down. And that is absolutely physically impossible, but there are literally millions of Americans who bought that explanation because they want to believe it, for one thing, and for another thing, they don't know anything about science. You know,
well,
and
yeah, but I mean,
just going right along with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you and I have been down that road, and now this Norwegian idiot comes out with this whole thing about aluminum, and I don't even want to start. All I know is that somebody should put their Norwegian foot up his ass. I mean, what crap? And now, like
we'll show you who's could do.
Oh man. Well, the aluminum, got to a certain point. Look.
Oh, baloney, man.
You can light that aluminum.
Girders aren't made out of aluminum anyway. They're made of steel.
Well, I'm sorry, but the thing is, like, you never talk about what it takes to melt steel, damn it.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
roughly 2,000 degrees.
You can go a little up beyond that, yeah. Anyway, I mean, look, it's the government high story. That's all that matters, and that's the way it'll be. But I'll say this much, about the Bay of Pigs, that still will exist as a very provocative thing. If I get the informer back on at some time, and his time is limited, to ever address that again, I would love to hear what he has to say about it. But the thing is this, I look at Kennedy and I look at that point, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, the mob denies that they wanted Cuba back because they say, Vegas is good enough. I don't believe that for a second.
No.
I mean, it would be great to have both, but I mean, Vegas. Why do I want to go to Vegas in January and February?
The mob is called in by this. They have mutual interest. And there are times when the mob is called in by the CIA to do hits. There was a time during World War II when Lucky Luciano was in prison, and the OSS went to him to help him out in Italy, and he got the dock workers, back in line in Italy by the use of the mob over there, so that they could, land their ships and land their cargoes and everything. Get everything going, because there was a series of strikes, mainly because there was a very large communist movement in Italy, and a lot of the workers were communist, and they had the mob go in and break some heads and get everything rolling. And there are times when the government works with the mafia, but the mafia, they can take the mafia out anytime they want.
Who?
Who? The government.
Oh, I don't know about that.
But I mean, it's all mixed together, is what I'm saying. It's like if there was somebody in the mafia that wasn't doing what they wanted, they go and they kill the guy. I just don't see the mafia. The mafia is powerful, but the government's a lot more powerful than that. I mean, and plus, they were talking about the situation with the Kennedy assassination. There are people that say the mafia did it. Well, they couldn't cover it up. They couldn't get the media to cover it up. And that's the way it is.
I think you had probably a trilateral approach to the assassination. and you know what? But I mean, and now I'll just offer this. And I think I'm okay with this, but I'd love to get people on to talk about this with some kind of authority. But I mean, Kennedy gets the election thrown to him. Now let's face it, Nixon won the election. Is this a big surprise? No. I mean, it goes back to Truman and Dewey. Did Dewey win the election? Yes. He committed a big sin years ago. We won't go into that now.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, in the wee small hours of the morning, Truman wins. Okay. So now we know that Nixon won, and all of a sudden, daily, with Cook County in Chicago, the dead voted often. And guess what?
Early and often.
Yeah, go early and often, right? And Jack wins.
Yeah.
And Nixon understands what the deal is too. Okay, he comes back another day.
Well, the mob definitely was involved with that.
Right. So where's the payoff?
Yeah.
The payoff is, Jack, you got to give him. I mean, here's what makes me laugh. If anybody wants to watch the movie Winner Kills, run with that if you want. Yeah, it's supposed to be fiction, but just understand that, okay? Because it's really about Jack and Joe, and Bobby. Now, here's what I'm thinking. He has the election. The comment is made, you got to pay back. All right, so what does the mob want? They want Cuba. But you can't go into Cuba. Why? Because the Vatican's got that covered, and Jack has run his mouth a little bit, would you agree, about the Vatican. So if he doesn't take it back, he's basically screwing the mob.
Mm-hmm.
If he takes it back, then we got a little problem more than just geopolitically, but the Vatican will not be happy with him. So what happens? He makes the move. He is obviously, in the Shakespearean sense, to the nth degree, he has been subverted by his own. And now it fails. He's made a move to try to do that, and now he has sinned the last time in the eyes of the Vatican.
Well, really, when you get down to it, there's so many things involved with politics in this country, politics and economics in this country, that where the mob and the government work together. And sometimes they are the one and the same thing, and in a sense they are.
In World War II they were used, and you know they were.
Oh, yeah. You've got, the drug trade, just look at that.
Oh,
you're telling me that the mob doesn't need the government, and the government doesn't need the mob, to make money off that? We won't go into the CIA involved in the drug trade, but that's just, there's so many very scholarly works that have been written on that, yet a large portion of the American public either doesn't know that or doesn't care or just too dumb to realize what's going on.
Larry, when Kennedy gives that speech about 10 days after the failed Bay of Pigs, before in April, before the New York Press Club.
Right.
And that's where he makes the remark about, because we are confronted by a monolithic conspiracy, right? And that's what he said, a monolithic, and it was ruthless. He wasn't talking about the bad old commies, because he would have said, in those days, as you know.
When I was a kid, I remember hearing about that or reading about it, and I thought he was talking about communism. And for years, I thought that's what he meant, but I don't think that's it.
No, because he would have said Russia. Everybody would have been like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he was trying. He was talking about, secret societies and, people in the shadow government, etc.
Yeah, he was tiptoeing over the wave tops because he would not mention it. But I'll tell you what. Of course, that's my schema. I understand. That makes sense to me. I would love to talk about it if I could get anybody. But the Bay of Pigs is a mystery. And it's a huge question mark. And the other thing I thought was interesting was, in the Invisible Government, it talked about the fact that while the Bay of Pigs was going on, guess who was in Puerto Rico giving a speech? Alan Dulles. There you go. Great listening post. Come on, man.
The Nazi Hall of Shame, the American Nazi Hall of Shame, there he is. His statue's out in front. The guy was one of the most evil, conniving SOBs that ever lived. There's so many things that he did, that have made the world a lot worse place to live. And that's enough about Alan Dulles.
But we laugh about this. As we go back and forth with information, with the books we read and Gordon and everything, and it's like, man, these names keep popping up time and time again.
They all know each other. They all worked in the same groups. They had mutual interest and they helped each other out. They would hire each other. The ones that were in the government, and they all knew. The mob knew them all, and they all knew the mob. I remember one time hearing about one of the mobsters saying, I think it was Giancana, told someone and said, "Hey, Ike doesn't run the country. He's just some guy who plays golf all the time. Nixon runs the country. That's a guy we deal with, And all through his career, all through his life, Nixon did deal with the mob. B.B. Rebozo and all these other mafia characters. Who's kidding who, man? Organized crime is part and parcel of the group that runs this country.
But, in the end, they're all backed, and they all know where they come from.
Yeah.
And where does the mafia rise up from? All right, come on. It's true. And yet you have to wonder how Nixon offended for him to not be assassinated, but to be spanked and kicked in the ass, basically, ignominiously, and sent out of D.C. Boy, I tell you what. And that there are certain points in history, and I think probably you could say 50 to 70 was an amazing period from which a lot of things have sprung and have changed the landscape. And the other thing I want to say also, and we got the Z-Zine that has come out, Inside the Grassy Knoll, and Kira has written 2 articles, and that just scrapes the surface of the garbage that went on with the assassination of Garfield and all the stuff that runs in and around that. There's never any end. to all kinds of excuses and obfuscation and stuff. But in the end, it's like you don't get that kind of thing done unless it's basically, designed to happen and that somebody gave the order.
Yeah, I think it was Roosevelt that once said that nothing happens in politics by accident. If it happens, then it's a result of, planned action.
Now, you should remember this probably if you listen to Black Ops enough and go back to some of the stuff that Prouty spoke and wrote about. But he talked about who supposedly, if you remember this, from his involvement with Stalin and Churchill and Roosevelt, who whacked FDR, who did not die in his sleep.
Yeah, he told, I'm not sure if it was him personally or one of his people, told Roosevelt's son that Churchill and the Churchill gang had done his father in.
He recounts, Prouty, that Stalin told, what was it, Elliot?
Yeah.
Roosevelt?
Yeah.
When Elliot asked, why didn't you let my mother into Russia for the death of, who would that have been at the time? No, I don't know.
I don't remember some big.
Yeah, what he said was, he goes, because you wouldn't let Gromyko, this is Stalin, you wouldn't let Gromyko view FDR's body because they didn't believe that he had a stroke.
Yeah.
They thought he was whacked.
Yeah.
And Eleanor would not allow it, so he told Elliot, since she wouldn't let that happen, she ain't coming here. Mm-hmm. And that's what he told Elliot. Supposedly, Stalin told Elliot, Churchill's gang whacked him, and they want me too. And apparently, they may have gotten him, but the story goes that Khrushchev and a gang of 4 or 5 did Stalin in. I mean, it's spy versus spy versus spy. It's horrible.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, they're just like the mafia in that sense. I mean, the guy supposedly your best friend, the guy that brought you up in the organization, may be the very same guy, who winds up killing you or having you killed. Or, somebody that you helped is going to be the guy that has you killed.
The history of the world is a history of treachery and spy versus spy and people selling out people. I mean, we look at mafia movies and, yeah, that's true. But, in a sense, it's only a microcosm of the way things have always been. And we were going back at the outset of this also. We were talking about a revival of the Holy Roman Empire and certain countries' parts in it. And so let's get back to that. And you've got something that you want to share with us, don't you, from your research?
Right. I was going to say that the Vatican is going to use Germany, like they always have, to complete their quest for the final Holy Roman Empire. And this Central World Bank fits right into it. The IMF is currently pressuring countries by forcing them to sign a letter of intent for what they call the Washington Consensus, which means deregulation, privatization, and elimination of social safety net programs, and in effect a loss of sovereignty. But this all goes in along with what is happening in Europe and the move by Germany to solidify its role as the leading state in Europe. I have a quote from Edmund Paris, the guy who wrote The Secret History of the Jesuits, in another book he wrote called The Vatican Against Europe. The papacy, ever since the days of Charlemagne, has not ceased to lean upon the Germans in order to impose its authority and extend its influence throughout Europe. And in another quote from David N. Samuel, who wrote European Union and Roman Catholic Influence in Britain, in the year 782, Charlemagne, the king of the Franks, became the military champion of the papacy, stepping into the vacuum created by the separation of Constantinople and Rome, and defending the papacy from the Lombards, who kept threatening it. Pope Leo III was crowned Charlemagne emperor in Notre Dame Cathedral in 800. The future of Europe was bound up in that event, and the alliance between the papacy and Germany has been of great significance ever since. Step by step, in more recent times, with infinite patience, the Roman Curia, which is papal government, gradually and without pause regained the influence lost at the same time, placing at the service of Germany the spiritual ascendancy enjoyed by the Vatican among the Roman Catholics in Germany and the rest of Europe. Thus, Germany the Great, like the Habsburg Empire, was to serve as a secular arm in order to annihilate the influence of Orthodox Russia in the Balkans and to restore the Holy See's authority in secular France. That gain was lost in 1918, but was resumed in 1939 with the Vatican pursuing the very same end that it's still pursuing today through the European Union. And again from Edmund Paris, the Church seeks not virtue but herself. Her true concern is the constant swelling of her ranks, the strengthening of her power. Are you then surprised at her predilection for Germany? Both love themselves and are hypnotized by their own powers. And then I have a quote from the Trumpet again about Germany and European Union and the papacy. Recent developments reveal that Germany is seeking to rally all Europe under Teutonic leadership in order to replace the United States as the world's sole financial superpower. Meanwhile, the Vatican is seeking to establish itself as a guiding force behind this forming European empire. By working together, these two entities are furthering their respective goals. German politicians have been especially vocal in putting the blame for the current economic upheaval squarely on the U.S. and on the shortcomings of the U.S.-style capitalism. Chancellor Angela Merkel said it was the U.S. and British failure to listen to Germany that allowed the banking sector to get out of hand. According to German Finance Minister Pierre Steinbrück, another system, one that will make the world multipolar, is needed. Pope Benedict XVI and his Vatican hierarchy recognize this fact. They are eyeing this economic crisis as an opportunity to establish Catholicism as the guiding force behind this forming European superpower. Politics needs religion, Vatican Secretary of State Cardinal Tarcisio Bertone said on September 30th in a speech published by Vatican mouthpiece L'Avvocato Romano, please excuse my Italian, when instead God is ignored, or I should say Latin, when instead God is ignored, the ability to respect rights and recognize the common goods begins to disappear. I think it just kind of further enhances what I've been trying to say, is that the Third Reich, the Second Reich and Third Reich were all, and the coming Fourth Reich, which I believe is already here in the European Union, which will become the Holy Roman Empire. It's all, just attempts to revive the Holy Roman Empire, and the Vatican and Germany are working hand in hand, and it's not by mistake or just a coincidence, I should say, that one of the first acts of state by both Mussolini and Hitler were to make treaties with the Vatican. Right. This was very important to both of them. They had to do that. And when we talk about fascism, a lot of historians and writers about that era always conveniently forget about the Vatican. They don't talk about that because it's not popular. It can make people kind of angry, especially if they're Roman Catholic. They don't want to hear about how the Vatican was involved with the fascist powers of Europe in the 30s and 40s.
But Larry, I mean, in days gone by, in decades gone by, I looked at the Vatican as like, I don't know, it's like a church thing, and who cares? And they were going to get their asses slapped anyway. Mm-hmm. Nobody gives them their due. Mm-mm. So, you know what I mean? So, like, they're always like under the radar, mm-hmm. and never considered as the entity they are, because they just have that ability to kind of like just morph and slide in behind things. So, yeah, of course, when you hear that, everybody's like, well, who gives a crap about the church? Mm-hmm. But they don't realize
They don't realize how powerful it is and how it is really the force behind the scenes. It's that hidden hand that it's moving things along. And just like we were talking about Mein Kampf,